Hey guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry, it's 12:18. I'm off tonight. I try to keep the same schedule because you guys know that I work at night. Most of you that listen to this channel or that see this channel know that I usually work at night. I'm off tonight, but I try to keep the same schedule. Otherwise, it just messes with me. My hair finally looks so bad that I have to put a hat on. To talk to you because I'm excited about this video simply because it's something that I have firsthand experience. There's no guessing when it comes to it. I'm 100% firm in my opinion as it stands right now at 12:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I think it's the 6th of February, I believe, in the morning. So I put out a video that had to do with Danny Masterson being a marked man in prison, and that I had no problem with that, and that I actually smirked. Well, let me tell you, I have no problem with that. I have no shame in saying that I have no problem with that. And if you give me a moment, I'd like to explain why I have no problem with things that occur inside the prison system to people that have behaved horrifically without any remorse. There's no remorse when it comes to Danny Masterson. He is not sorry except that he got caught. His behavior was called out from 3 women that we know of. But though there's so much more. There's so much more. He violently did things to these women. There's no guessing about it. There's witnesses, and there's witnesses that didn't even know each other that have the same story over and over again. And I'm sure that there's people that we don't even know about, because not everybody files a complaint. Not everybody is okay. We honestly don't know if anybody alive themselves because Danny did something to them. We don't know the collateral damage. We only know that Danny Masterson violently women. That's what we know. And because there's no remorse, and because he could have continued it, or it could have manifested into something else, okay? Because sicknesses like that, I don't believe that they can be fixed. I think you're kind of born like that. Listen, I'm the type of person, if I do something wrong to somebody, it'll keep me awake. You know, it bothers me. That's a conscience. You know, and either we have a conscience or we don't have a conscience. Why Danny's mind in the way that he believes is dangerous to the outside world. So the judge has said, you're going to do time. You're going to pay for this. Okay? To us, the outside world, we're relieved, right? If we believe that Danny's guilty, we're relieved because we know that we are now safe and our children are now safe from the likes of Danny Masterson. We know that, right? Not doing drugs, guys, just got some dogs that lose a lot of hair. And, you know, it goes up my nose. It's all over the place. Anyway, the thing that we need to remember is that we feel safe. Maybe because Danny is no longer walking amongst us. We're not worried about our children. You know what I'm saying? So now maybe our children would have never come across Danny Masterson. But there are people very much like Danny Masterson. He is one of many that perpetrates the crimes that Danny perpetrated, right? So we want all of those dangerous people off the streets, because we want the streets to be safe for us and for our kids and for the people that we love and care about. That's what we want. Okay. I agree. But here's what's happening. So yes, they are losing their freedoms, and imagine losing your freedom. I mean, we all went through COVID together, right? And a lot of us balked at wearing a mask. So, I mean, what would you do if you got thrown in prison? Like, your amendments, your rights were taken away because you were told to wear a mask, and then more or less forced to get a COVID shot if maybe your employers insisted that you have it, or if because you live with somebody that you don't want to catch COVID. So, whether it be you were forced because of a job, or you were forced because of society, or whatever. Here's the thing. Whatever. That sounded kind of Valley-like, right? That's my whatever, as I really don't care what the whatever is. That's what that is. So, I have a little heater on here because I was warm and it's cold outside. So I had the house set real low and now I'm freezing. So, let me shut that off for a second because it's getting a little warm. I don't want anything to... Anyway, so it's nice that we think that people are penalized by losing their freedoms, but everybody adjusts. There's a saying, you guys must be sick of my sayings. There's a saying from my favorite television show called Vis a Vis. It's in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. It's still my favorite jail show ever because it's a lot more realistic than a lot of and it some of it's not, some of it's fairy tale land, but a lot of it is so realistic. It's called Vis a Vis. It was on Netflix, I believe, and it's called Locked Up in America. So vis a vis means face to face, I guess. And the show is called Locked Up in America. If you watch this show, I highly recommend that you watch it with the subtitles. Please let these actors act and just read the subtitles along, even if you have to watch it over again. Because to watch something that's Americanized, so obviously the mouths don't move, but sometimes neither does the expression or the urgency of that actor. So please, anyway, there's a saying from this show that says that, yeah, I'm probably going to get it wrong, but the gist is this, that 70% of our body is water. And water is the only thing that when you put it into any shape, it follows, it goes into that shape and fits that shape perfectly. Water, that liquid. We're 70% of it. So we adapt to any situation. I'm going to try to find that quote and put it on here because they said it a lot more eloquently than me. But that's basically what it says. When you take something away from somebody, they begin getting used to it. They start finding other things. So even though people will lose their freedom and they will lose what that feels like, that's only going to last for so long. And then they're going to hear of like birthdays and celebrations that they've missed while they were incarcerated. And that sadness might kick in. But on a daily, that's not the way they're living anymore. Once they get accustomed to this is my new reality, then It's only the things within that new reality that can really screw them up. It's not so much what's going on out here. Now, obviously, if Danny Masterson's in prison and his mom gets ill, he can't be there for his mom, right? So that's something that he would obviously feel. But just on a day to day, people just get used to what they're in. And they still have things that they look forward to, but maybe the things that they look forward to are as simple as going outside for an hour, where before they could be outside whenever they wanted and never went outside, right? But now, because it's so controlled, it's not enough, in my opinion, that somebody that does horrific crimes is just taken out of society for society to be safe. That's not enough. Because what happens where they're placed? Well, we have an epidemic in this country, and it's called homelessness. And some of these people that are homeless, they're not drug addicts. They're not gamblers. They're not people that deserve this. I don't think drug addicts deserve to be homeless. I don't think gamblers deserve to be homeless. Don't get me wrong. But what some people might deem as figures, that's what happens. Okay? Some of the people that are homeless just had a few things happen to them at one time, and it overtook all of the good in their life. They didn't do anything wrong. They just didn't have the job that paid enough so that when something happened, they had money in the bank. They didn't do anything wrong. They might have spent money on holidays that they can enjoy with their family instead of putting money in the bank for a rainy day. Do they still deserve to be homeless? They haven't committed any crimes. They just can't catch up. Or maybe they had a medical expense. Or maybe they hurt themselves and lost their job, and therefore all of their benefits, lost their home now, so now they're homeless. So let's say that happens. And that happens, as we know. So let's just say that somebody or somebody's child needed some sort of medical emergency and it just wiped them out. Or when they had all of those balloon mortgages and people lost their homes through no fault of their own, except that they trusted people that were selling them crazy mortgages in 2008. Okay, so let's just say that people honestly experience bad luck and misfortune, and sometimes they don't want to get help from people in their family, or maybe they just don't have family that can help them. So they end up homeless. They don't get medical, they don't get food, they don't get shelter. But these criminals that have committed these horrific crimes, guess what? They get 3 meals a day. They get warmth in the winter. They get coolness in the summer. They get blankets. They get comfort, because that is their rights. If they have a toothache and wake up in the middle of the night in pain, there's somebody to help them right down the hall. So they're not suffering near as long as somebody who has lived right by the law and wakes up with a toothache and has maybe $20 in their bank account and is trying to find a way to relieve them of that pain. Yet the criminal, he's getting that taken care of, or she's getting that taken care of right away. That's the prison system, and that's the jail system, because the job is to protect them from themselves and each other. and they're not in society anymore. But inside of that jail, they have built their own world, their own life, their own reality, everything. So they look forward to things like commissary. And there's so many inmates. Personally, I know that there are so many inmates that will, so they have like 5 people on the outside, girlfriends. They don't know about the other ones, and they're all sending this person money. So in jail, in their world, they're not really suffering on a day-to-day. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still okay. They're existing. They're watching the football games. They're the things that just make them happy, make them just as happy on the inside as it did on the outside. It's just their reach is a lot smaller because they can really only deal with so much. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the legal stuff. I'm not talking about the stuff that they can get on the side there, you know, the contraband stuff. But so do I think it's okay when prison justice, now when I say prison justice, I say that, you know, the people that have CSAs or SAs or have committed these horrific crimes, that their new world shouldn't be so comfortable. I don't have a problem saying that, and I don't have a problem meaning it. Now, I wasn't in any position to do anything like that. I will share a story with you that happened to me. And, you know, listen, some of you are going to say, well, I'm going to unclick because this is a crazy person. And yeah, I was fooled. Or you're going to say, I get that. I totally understand that. And, you know, either which way, this is something that I did. So I was working in the jail, and I hadn't been there, I guess, long enough to get the benefit of the medical benefit. And one night coming home from work, somebody crossed a line on Rock Creek Parkway. Rock Creek Parkway. So I worked in the Arlington County Jail, and I lived in Maryland. So I would take Rock Creek Parkway, which is a beautiful parkway that is right in the middle of DC. And so instead of taking the main arteries, these were more or less back roads, but they were beautiful. So one night I was coming home, and it was dark, it was raining, and somebody crossed the line, like they went too fast around a curve, and they went right into my car. And it put me out of work. My rotator cuff was torn, and I had to get a rental car for as long as I could, and then I had to ultimately do what they would call a collateral swap, which really wasn't. But anyway, I couldn't afford to continue to miss work, so I only got so much time, but then it was beyond what I could do. And my boss, that crazy guy, remember the elevator story is a very important story. It's in my shorts, guys. If you guys don't want to watch a whole video, it's in my shorts. It's point of view changed in an elevator. So it's this boss. You know, he said, listen, I can't allow you to come back to work, but you can run some errands for me, and I can pay you through the company still as this position until you're able to come back and work in the jail. And I jumped on it. I was so grateful I jumped on it. So in that position, I did a lot of walking around in the Arlington area. And one day it was freezing, and I had just had the surgery, like, I don't know, maybe a week or two before, probably. And my shoulder was shaking, and I had one of those immobilizers, they called it. So it was like a sling, only you held it. Yeah, it was meant to be close to your body, and by Velcro, it stayed close to your body, and then you kind of wore a jacket over it because you didn't bother like taking it out to put your arm through and stuff like that. The only time I took my arm out of it actually was when I would bathe. So anyway, it was cold. It was raining, but it was the rain that was like the ice coming down, but it wasn't a lot. It had just begun, but it was cold, and I wear glasses, and so there would be raindrops on my glasses, and and I was shaking, and my arm hurt, and I was miserable, and I came back in to I came back in, but I took my glasses off. And when I came back into the jail, I went up to the fourth floor, and that's where there were two visiting booths. Okay, so when you walk off the elevator, excuse me, right away you faced what they called the tower, and the tower was a glass uh, booth, and it had glass all the way around it. Okay, but it wasn't circular; it was squared shaped, but still there was glass on each side. And before you got to the elevator, if you looked to the left, there were two visiting booths. Okay, this county jail and the old county jail, and they just had panes of glass, and they were separated by like these little wooden things that you see, so that you really can't get into the other person's conversation. It allows you a little bit of privacy. And then, obviously the room where the inmates would be on the other side, and just the glass partition um that allowed you to talk to each other. The glass didn't go all the way down the wall. It just went to like halfway through, so that you sat down and you saw the other person. So they had a habit, because remember I told you how overpopulated the jail was that I worked in, especially the old jail. So they had a habit when when they would be transporting people, moving them maybe to the courthouse, or maybe they had to move them somewhere to keep them while they were doing room searches, or just if there was a fight, they had to put somebody somewhere where they would be safe and then go ahead and deal with the situation. They used the visiting booth, or the visiting area, for that as well. So I came in, I had my glasses off because I couldn't see anyway. There were so many drops on them. And I looked over to the left because I saw, that there was movement there, and I really don't have great peripheral vision. So, I mean, I saw movement that was to my attention. So, I'm not wearing my uniform. At this point, the only inmates that really knew me were the inmates that worked in that kitchen area. That was it. I didn't know anybody else. I hadn't been there all that long. And again, I wasn't in uniform. So my glasses are off. I have astigmatism, so I can't see 100% without them. That's why I wear glasses. And I look over and I see somebody give me the finger. They just gave me the finger. And I thought, that's fucked up. But I kept walking, and I went back into the kitchen, and I took care of everything that I needed to take care of. And then I went out to the tower, and I asked the deputy in the tower you had two people or three people in there, and I described the person that I was referring to. And, there wasn't great detail. It was, the color of his hair. It was wavy, where he was sitting among the two or the other two people that were in there. And the deputy told me. Well, it happened to be I was I was coming back. I just come back right before lunch. So I walked back into the kitchen and I said, we have a broken jaw diet. I said, and I'll go ahead and prepare that meal. I just came back from the tower. Now, I didn't say that they told me, but it definitely left the impression that that's exactly what happened. I know this. I know what I did. So I go ahead and I take all of the food. Now, when somebody has a broken jaw diet, they're getting basically the same food that all the other inmates are getting, but it's just being pureed, which means all that, the hamburger, I think it was mashed potatoes, because I think they had French fries. I had to make mashed potatoes for him. And there was a vegetable. And it was all mixed in and a little bit of gravy. And I put it in. It ended up fitting in, I think, like 2 cups. And it was a proper broken jaw diet. If the guy literally had a broken jaw, that would have been the diet we would have given him, because you could suck it through the straw. So I put it on the tray with the other food, and I put the inmate's name, because now they've identified the inmate to me, the deputies. And they go out and they give the food. So right away, I start hearing rumblings. There was a problem with one of the food trays. Somebody got a broken jaw diet, shouldn't have gotten a broken jaw diet. Toddy gave the broken jaw. Why would Toddy give a broken jaw diet? I start getting phone calls. Hey, there's some sort of confusion, broken jaw diet. I said, no confusion. Toddy, he doesn't have a broken jaw. I know that. But I don't think that he can handle a spoon, I said. I think that I didn't give it to him because he has a broken jaw. I gave it to him because I think he has a broken finger. And they said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, when I was coming back from running that errand for Sam, I said, I'm freezing, I'm cold, I'm shaking. And out of the blue, for no reason, this person doesn't know me. I could have been coming to see my son. I could have been coming to see my daughter. I could have been a broken-hearted fiance or wife or whatever. I could have been visiting my dad. Like, who does that? Now, maybe if I wasn't shaking, or if I wasn't in pain, or if I wasn't just fucking miserably cold and everything, maybe I would have just called him out on it and written the fucker up. Because it's not okay. And it's not okay for the reasons that I told you. Not because I can't take it, but because who the fuck are you to do that to anybody? You don't know who I am. You didn't know who I was. I could have been there brokenhearted over something. My parent, my husband, my child. Well, not my child. I was younger. But who the fuck are you? In the meantime, yeah, for no reason at all, what are you doing that to me for? I didn't do anything to you. So, there's a reason why you did it, and there's a reason why I'm giving it back to you. So I end up having to face this inmate. And because they were like, okay, well, then you get to tell him that. Okay, well, don't leave me alone, because I have one hand and I'm not the deputy. So I tell him in front of the 4 or 5, 6, there was probably at least 5 other inmates in that little block. I say to him, listen, man, I was coming in. You didn't know who I was. Why the fuck would you give me the finger? What did I do to you? So I know that you don't have a broken jaw diet, but maybe you won't do that again to somebody, because why would you want to fuck up somebody's day? And he was like, in front of the deputy, it's all right. So the deputy says, okay, you got this, Toddy. And they go to walk away. I told this deputy not to do this. They go to walk away. I turn around and I start walking away. Well, trust me, I wasn't any bigger back then. I was smaller. I weighed probably 100 pounds and I was 5'3". So as I'm walking away, I hear footsteps coming upon me and they're like running. And I said to myself, if I turn around and this person sees fear, that's the end of it. So then I hear other footsteps, and then I hear both the footsteps stop. And then I turned around because they were still well behind me. And I looked and I saw one inmate pick up that guy who I gave the broken jaw diet to. Turned him around and put him back in his cell block. I didn't make that inmate another tray. And my boss said, you got to make him a sandwich. I said, if you want to make him a sandwich, you make him a sandwich. I said, no. I am not. I didn't fuck with his food. Listen, I could have done something to his food. He would have never had known it. I didn't do that. His food was 100% clean. I wasn't going to go ahead and do that. Now, did I do the right thing? Didn't I do the right thing? Some of you are going to say this. Some of you are going to say that. I'm putting it out there. That's what I did. That's who I am. I do believe in prison justice. I do believe that while people are suffering with the memories of and trying to get by in life with maybe without somebody, that somebody decided their life was meaningless and they just became collateral damage. You know, somebody robbed me at gunpoint. This is true. I was robbed by two people at gunpoint in 2002. And they didn't physically touch me, but I didn't know that until it was all over. That has stuck with me for 22 years. I can't even imagine how you would get through something that was worse than that. And I don't think that just being put away and being taken care of is the penalty for somebody that inflicts pain and seems to enjoy it. There is no rehabilitation. Now, I'm not going to do anything besides have them go into jail. I'm not going to turn my back. When I got called out from the warden or the director of the jail, and I told them what I did, they laughed but said, you can't do that. It's not up to you to punish them. And I said, I didn't punish them. I gave them a broken jaw diet. I could have done something with that food that could have been really disgusting, and they might not have, and they wouldn't have even known it. That I did not do. So am I going to, here's the thing. I can already hear, so you should be praised for the less of the two things that you did? No, I shouldn't be praised for it at all. What I'm saying is, this is what I believe. So, I don't know how this is going to go over. There's horrific things that happen to women in other parts of the world. And it's called culture. And it's horrific. And we're grateful that we weren't born over there. But to them, it's part of their culture. And many of you, I think, would agree in saying, if you go to a different part of the world, do you need to embrace their culture, or why are you going? Well, it's the same thing in jail. That is a culture. If you do things to get yourself in trouble to go there, you know what other kinds of people are there. It's not just that you lose your freedom. That's part of it. That's that's what we do to you. That's your punishment from us, is to put you away and keep society safe from you. But inside of the culture that you are going into, there's a whole other set of rules. There's a whole other system of the way things are. And people like Danny Masterson and the crimes of Ian Watkins. I did a video, right, on Ian Watkins, the singer that did horrible things to babies. And he ended up getting stabbed in a UK prison. You know? I mean, was that okay? I'm not losing any sleep over it. Now, I wouldn't be somebody that turned my back and let it happen. I'm also not going to be the person that's going to lose their life stopping that from happening either, when it's somebody like Ian Watkins. So, you know, I don't have a problem with what's going on with Danny Masterson. Again, if you don't like the culture of where you're going, then maybe don't go there. So you can't commit crimes that would put you there. So guys, I hope this explains better where I'm coming from. Again, I know that this is very controversial, but this is the way that I think, this is the way that I feel. And that's it. So I just wanted to go there. I am going to try to go live at 7:30 on Sunday. I don't know how that's going to go. I've never gone live before. But I'm willing to try. A few people have asked that of me, so I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens. And I thank you again for the time that you've given me, and I hope that I've given you something to think about. Please, again, communicate in the chat. I really appreciate that. And be better today than you were yesterday, but not half as good as you're going to be tomorrow. Guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip, hiding my hair.